JC, how will you write an opening to Beauty and the Beast using inspiration from these Belle and Beastly adaptations? The opening scene is the first impression someone has of your story. If done right, it will hook the audience into watching the rest of the movie. I've already explored some craft you can include in your opening in this Cinderella video. But today I want to dive deep into the use of narration. The adaptations I will focus on are Disney's 2017 live action, the 2006 Gender Switch creation, and the 2014 French version. I will then apply what I learned to the 2011 young adult adaptation and the 1997 rom-com spoof. The opening's narration can be done in a few ways. It can be told by a narrator, a character we never actually see throughout the movie, or by a character, one that we do see throughout the movie. We can be addressed face to face,
or we could be addressed via voiceover.
Excuse me, I'm talking here.
Sorry. How rude of me.
The purpose of the opening's narration is to give us the backstory. Everything that has happened prior that the audience needs to know to understand the story. Another purpose of the opening narration is to establish the story's scope and emotional tone. The story scope is clues mentioned to set up the boundaries a writer has defined for their story. Emotional tone refers to the emotional atmosphere of the opening, and how the narration, what is said, and how it's delivered adds clarity to the genre. Now, the most important aspect of narration is how it is paired with the visual tone. Visual tone refers to filmmaking techniques such as cinematography, editing, music, colour, etc., etc. All these are what I like to call the sensory experience that gives a movie its unique look. The weakest narrations are the ones that describe what we can already see.
JC smiles at the camera.
Like that. Boring. The strongest narrations are the ones that give us 3 layers at the same time. Layer 1, what we see. Layer 2, what we hear.
JC was in trouble. Again.
Layer 3, the meaning or subtext provided when the narration and visuals are paired.
JC was in trouble. Again.
Let's watch some opening scenes and I will explain what I mean. Ooh, the rose. I always forget about the rose.
Once upon a time in the hidden heart of France,
Oh, I love how the rose turns into the makeup.
a handsome young prince lived in a beautiful castle.
Immediately, we are given the genre. It's a fairy tale, once upon a time. But we are also given the location. This is crucial because right now, this castle could be anywhere. And there are more French isms to come, so clarifying this is important. Bonjour!
Bonjour! Bonjour! Bonjour! Bonjour!
Oh, let's also mention that the narration is delivered over voiceover. Poof, poof. Oh, that smirk. We're learning so much about his character.
Although he had everything his heart desired, the prince was selfish and unkind.
This is key information about one of the central characters. It's snappy and straight to the point. But the reason it lands so well is because the visuals elevate it. They demonstrate just how extravagant and vain he is. So it's not showing us exactly what we're being told. It's providing context to what we're being told. Like how his selfishness has manifested into an obsession with beauty, which feeds into the theme of this movie. And we are given it so seamlessly within the first minute of the film. Imagine if they had provided visuals of the prince exercising or reading instead of obsessing over his appearance. It would provide a different nuance to the opening, right?
Master, it's time.
He taxed the village to fill his castle with the most beautiful objects.
Oui, maître.
With the most beautiful people.
What a great use of foreshadowing by the narrator! And the visuals support this by showing us the pocket watch, the candelabra, and the hand mirror. So cool. Can your narration include foreshadowing?
And his parties with the most beautiful people.
That That delivery on the word beautiful is so brilliant. It adds to the sensory experience of the scene as the music swells and we get that leads into the musical break. Look how he's lounging in that chair. Oh my god, chandeliers. I'm obsessed with chandeliers. It's important to remember that your narrator does not have to talk to the audience non-stop during your opening. You can step away from them to introduce other elements of your story. Like in this movie, they give us a song. Why? Because it's a musical. One full of spectacle.
Oh, how divine, glamour music.
Puppy. So they are giving a taste of it now, so when more song and dance comes later, it does not feel out of place. They are giving us the mood of the genre.
Look for a sign that in the hand.
Chances. During the short interlude without the narrator, we also meet some key players. And if you listen closely, the song's lyrics are telling us things symbolically about the story to come as well. It makes sense the narration would pause at this moment to let those ideas percolate.
Every prince, every dog has his day.
What are they trying to say there?
Oh, no.
Stanley Tucci! Oh, I love how the knock went in time with the music.
Then one night, an unexpected intruder arrived at the castle, seeking shelter from the bitter storm.
Oh, the lighting change. If I had to pick my least favourite line in the narration so far, it'd probably be this one.
Then one night, an unexpected intruder arrived at the castle.
Merely because what we are told and shown are very similar. The only thing that saves it is how the visuals imply possible use of magic to break down those doors. So, you know, if I had to be picky.
As a gift, she offered the prince a single rose. Repulsed by her haggard appearance, Prince turned the woman away.
This section is an awesome example of effectively using a voiceover narrator. She tells us the dialogue as the actors use their physicality to sell it. Imagine if the Beast said, "Leave, haggard woman," and then the narrator said,
Repulsed by her haggard appearance,
"The prince turned the woman away." It would be redundant.
but she warned him not to be deceived by appearances, for beauty is found within.
Okay, again, imagine if she said, "Careful how you judge me, boy," and then the narrator said her line.
But she warned him not to be deceived by appearances.
Redundant. Anyway, I hope I've made my point.
When he dismissed her again, the old woman's outward appearance melted away
So good.
to reveal a beautiful enchantress.
She is beautiful. What I love so much about the opening in this version compared to Disney's 1991 animation is how the narration is so meta. At first, we don't know who the voice belongs to. Is it a character from the story's universe or someone else entirely? But then, later on, we learn it is her, the enchantress, Agatha, who narrates the opening. It just makes the whole story feel more unified from beginning to end because she's from the story's world. Is your narrator from the story's universe or not?
The prince begged for forgiveness, but it was too late.
And the fact that we see the entire ballroom empty means that no one actually gives a toss about the prince. Except, perhaps, who's this? Chip and Mrs. Potts. Does the narrator and the visuals create an emotional connection for us? I think so.
As punishment, she transformed him into a hideous beast.
This line works because they do not show his beastly form. We only see this. Look how it stretches his nose.
And placed a powerful spell on the castle.
Oh, I love that. Already, the opening is building mystery and intrigue. Now, I'm asking, what does the prince look like now? It makes me want to watch more, as it should.
The prince and his servants were forgotten by the world, for the enchantress had erased all memory of them.
This narration sounds like clunky exposition, but I guess they get away with it because the visuals symbolically add to what we're being told. A dreary, isolated castle. Yes, it's been forgotten by the rest of the world.
But the rose she had offered was truly an enchantment.
Truly an enchanted rose.
If he could learn to love another by the time the last petal fell,
There's the rose.
the spell would be broken. If not, he would be doomed to remain a beast for all.
For all time. And just like that, we are given the stakes of the story. What could take 15 minutes to set up without a narrator has been established in under 4 minutes.
He fell into despair and lost all hope.
I'm a massive fan of this kind of narration because it now means we can launch into what the story is really about.
For who could ever learn to love a beast?
To love a beast! That delivery! I got goosebumps. It just gives us a flicker of hope, you know? Compare the delivery of the same line in the 1991 version.
For who could ever learn to love a beast?
For who could ever learn to love a beast?
They provide a different feeling, am I right? I'm right. So, always appreciate the importance of delivery when it comes to narration. And writers, remember, you have some control over this with how you put everything on the page. So please, please, please think about delivery. The tone of it, the musicality of it. Do it. Final notes as well. It's a decisive move to only have narration in the beginning, mainly because we learn the narrator, Agatha, is a character from the universe. So I'm not upset that the narration doesn't come back. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Does your story only require narration in the opening? Or does it call for a bookend closing like our next movie? Where are you going? I want to know. Look at these locations.
My parents were born into the good life. Old money, blue-blooded, society sweethearts.
Straight away, we know who this movie is going to be about. The narrator and their parents. And from this and the surrounding visuals, we are also given a clue to setting. These people have money, and the parents seem slightly eccentric in their wardrobe. So I suspect the rest of the movie to embody these qualities. Oh, before I move on, the narration is also done in voiceover.
They were used to gracing the pages of the society columns,
Were they?
so they welcome the attention.
This line is so clever because it seeds one of the core conflicts of the movie, the role of the media and how it can impact one's life. Which makes sense because in the movie's first half, Penelope tries to avoid the media. Then she embraces the media and the media embraces her.
Penelope, is there anything you'd like to say to the public?
Hi?
Yes, so your narration should set up the conflict. Well done, Penelope. How can your narration hint at the core conflict of your story?
So they welcome the attention on what they supposed would be the happiest day of their lives.
Don't we just love irony in narration? I do, because of foreshadowing. It won't be the happiest day of these characters' lives. And we, the audience, are already wondering why. It's hooked us. 1 minute and 30 seconds in. Impressive. Oh, where are we now? Alright, before we're given any answers, we're taken back in time.
But local legend had it that a curse was put on the Wilhern family.
A curse? Has the narrator just clued us in on the genre? Some fantasy elements, maybe?
When my great-great-great-grandfather Ralph
That one. Such personality in that.
had a fling with a lowly servant girl, Clara, who was soon eating for two.
Uh-oh.
When he told his family of his plans to marry Clara, he realized how silly he'd been.
Okay, so instead of the character saying, I am to marry Clara, followed by,
When he told his family of his plans to marry Clara,
the narrator summarizes the dialogue for us, just like in Beauty and the Beast. Let's watch it again.
When he told his family of his plans to marry Clara, he realized how silly he'd been.
Look at how the family's laughter elevates everything the narrator is saying. Also, in this moment, I wonder if we're getting an inkling of theme. If you've seen Penelope, you will know that it debates the influence and importance of family on our self-esteem. So isn't that what's happening to this guy right here? Is he being influenced by his family? How can your narration hint at the theme of your story?
Clara was, after all, just a servant girl and prone to rashes.
The comedy shining through.
So Ralph married someone more suitable.
Before I show the next bit, I just want to give a trigger warning for death by Sue. Here's the time code you can go to.
And Clara fell off a cliff.
She didn't fall. You know, this is one of the lines, accompanied by the visuals, that really solidify the mood of the genre. This movie won't shy away from this aspect of the human experience. And once this later scene rolls round,
Then I'll kill myself.
it makes sense why the narrator would set this up in the opening. The audience needs to know that this is a real possibility for Penelope as it was for Clara. It wants us to know this movie has high stakes. Life and death.
That night, Clara's mother, the town witch, showed up on the Wilhern lawn.
The music's changed.
She scattered about animal guts and commanded that the next Wilhern daughter be born with the face of a pig.
And only when one of your own kind claims this daughter as their own will the curse be broken.
I love how the narration stops momentarily there, allowing this crucial piece of information to reach the audience. But not long enough that we can overthink it and decide what it means. If you've seen Penelope, you know what I'm on about. How can you use your narration to guide the audience to remember key information?
Time passed.
That's my least favourite line, as we can see the tree change through the seasons. However, for those who know that Penelope is based on Beauty and the Beast, the tree could symbolise the rose. So it's like an Easter egg.
Yeah, Penelope and the Beast.
The next 5 Wilhern brides,
Oh, that's so clever. This is such good filmmaking.
who fathered all sons, who fathered all sons,
Back to the tree, I'm loving this motif. The accompanying visuals here are so unique. Already it gives this movie a very stylized approach, preparing us for the overall sensory experience.
which means that the firstborn Wilhern girl was me.
The delivery on that line is so intriguing. Compared to her mother's reaction, the narrator just seems so calm about it. Why? I've got to watch it to find out more.
Was me.
Even the baby's cry is like a pig squeal. This line also works just like Beauty and the Beast because they don't show us Penelope's pig face. We only see the little ears sticking out. What does she look like? It makes me want to watch more. Is there any more narration?
Curse or no curse, if I am more than my name and my face, then surely you are more than yours.
It's true.
Hi.
First, we dive into the movie and see how this family responds to the curse and how they plan to break it. Remember, your narrator does not have to talk to the audience non-stop throughout the opening. You can step away and introduce other elements. Like in Penelope, this includes showing us what Penelope looks like.
I'm not the one who ran, Mother.
First they run, dear. When you spring yourself at them like that.
Spring yourself! Oh, she's so good.
I showed him my face.
You're not your nose.
It is my nose.
No!
It is her nose.
I had been reminded over the years that I was not the only victim of the curse.
Penelope's narration is returning now, adding further context to everything we see. Like how her parents tried to have her nose removed.
Franklin, what's he saying? Franklin?
She would die, sweetheart.
How they faked her death.
She faked my death and had me cremated.
The delivery. It's like Penelope herself is not quite sure on the cremation. Also, this narration is made 10 times better when they call back to it throughout the movie.
The reporter who forced me to bury you.
You said I was cremated.
That too.
Can you call back to your narration in your story?
And occasionally she had to protect me, even from myself.
Aww. All she wants is to go outside and play with the other children. See, they're not scared of her, they're just curious. Oh, that is heartbreaking. Why would you do that to me? It's so powerful that they draw out that beat after that beautiful delivery.
Even from myself.
This creates a true emotional connection between Penelope and the audience. Again, the narrator's pauses are guiding us on what to focus on. Genius.
Then, upon my 18th birthday, she hired Wanda in hopes of finding the one of my own kind, who would break the curse by accepting me as I am.
right, the goal of this movie is crystal clear, and the witch's line we heard earlier makes sense.
And only when one of your own kind claims this daughter as their own.
It's also important to mention that the narration does a seamless job of introducing some key players, Jake and Wanda. Why not give that a go in your opening?
Hello.
Why do they react that way?
And so it went. Before my mother recognized the need for certain adjustments. Shatterproof glass. And sneakers for Jake.
Okay, we are currently 10 minutes into the film. If absolutely necessary, I think you could condense this narration into half the time. However, then it would most likely be void of Penelope's personality. And we, the audience, must be given hints to how she feels about this situation as it influences many of her choices to come. An example of this is...
So I did most of my playing in my room. Where I made my own friends.
So when we get to these scenes that I'm about to play you, the groundwork has been laid and we believe Penelope's point of view.
For 7 years, I've been watching them run. Do you have any idea how that makes me feel?
Why? Because you're splattered all over the newspapers?
No, because I have friends.
Those aren't friends, dear. Those are fans.
The opening narration leads us right up to the inciting incident where one suitor escapes.
So you see, today was much like any other, except...
I couldn't catch him.
Fantastic opening narration. I'm in this. I'm invested. Again, this narration is needed to suspend our disbelief so we buy into the fantasy elements. This story may be based on Beauty and the Beast, but it has its own rules and backstory that we need to understand to enjoy the rest of the story without question. Unlike Beauty and the Beast, Penelope's narration returns throughout the movie. Trigger warning. If you want to skip this bit, here's the time code.
Once the curse is broken, I'll be just like anybody else.
What if you're not? What if the curse isn't broken? What if the curse can never be broken?
Then I'll kill myself. I promise. I promise I will. Marry me.
Oh, he wants to.
I can't.
Oh, but he can't. Because we know why, but she doesn't know why.
Get out.
Oh, and he was about to tell her. No! Around the midpoint, this narration truly elevates this emotional tipping point. Penelope. I'll marry you.
I felt the rush of 1,000 heartbreaks.
Oh, what a line.
We can do it again. I will never give up, sweetheart. Never, Penelope.
It's such a callback to the opening narration. Makes the movie feel really unified.
And I knew with all my heart she meant it.
Oh. It's only 2 lines that they use at the midpoint, but it just makes you feel so much for Penelope and the situation she's in. So good. And towards the end, the narration is used to bookend the movie, providing resolutions to all the story threads set up in the beginning.
And while I missed the face that had caused so much trouble, the world had moved on.
As it does. Did I say Gorilla Boy?
And then Wanda couldn't hold on to the secret any longer.
Yes, Wanda. It makes the movie feel unified in style and deepens the audience's connection to Penelope. Narration must increase our emotional connection and not just convey exposition. Does your story only require narration in the opening, middle, and end? Or does it call for ongoing use like in our next movie? So this adaptation is stunning and has some amazing flashbacks. However, the narration lacks luster. I'm watching it dubbed in English for this video, but I highly recommend that you go watch it with the subtitles instead so that you can experience the original performances. So good. Let's go. This music's so lovely. Aha! Sneaky, sneaky.
Once upon a time,
Immediately we are given the genre. It's a fairy tale. However, before this line we see the storybook open, so maybe we don't need that line. I mean, sure, it's a classic. Once upon a time.
Once upon a time,
So, I am glad that they kept it, but hopefully it helps show the traps a writer can fall into when using narration.
once upon a time, there was a rich merchant,
Alternatively, the narrator could have said, once there was a rich merchant.
a brave and kind man,
That must be the wife in the background as well, in that portrait.
who after losing his dear wife, lived only for the good of his 6 children.
We also learn from this line who this movie will be about. The merchant and his children. Now their outfits and the fact that it's a family portrait indicates a setting, but the narration fails to clarify exactly when or where.
3 girls, 3 boys, who filled the house with their laughter and chatter.
This line is repeating what we see in the visuals. We can see that there are 3 boys and 3 girls. However, what saves this narration from being just exposition is how the image moves in on the youngest daughter. It guides us to notice Belle's position to her father. It foreshadows their relationship and helps explain Belle's motivations later on when she trades places with her father. Foreshadowing! That's what we want.
We have a little guest.
it wants to listen to a story.
Ladybird, what are you here for, little one?
Let's all make a wish, but to yourselves, otherwise it will not come true. Have you made your wish?
Yes.
Hello, narrator! So this narration is voiceover and face-to-face. But we don't get to see who it is. We know she's from this story's universe, but who is she exactly? And who are those children? Does it spark interest in me to keep watching to find out who she is? Some? But not really. I already know the story of Beauty and the Beast. My bet is that it will be Belle.
Have you made your wish?
Yes.
2, 3. Would you like to hear more of the story?
Yes.
The merchant had a fleet of 3 ships, which were his pride and joy. Mermaid, Triton, and the largest, Leviathan.
Oh, I'm yawning because it's been a long day, not because I'm bored of the story, but maybe. I hope these ships come back into the story, otherwise why are you telling me their names?
Their holds stocked with marvelous wares. They were sailing the long voyage to home port when suddenly a violent storm broke.
This is essential information for us to understand for the story. But again, the narration and the visuals are giving us the same thing. She says there was a storm. We see the storm. She says the ships sink, and we go down into the ocean with them.
The Armada sank to the bottom and its treasures, swallowed up, lost forever.
It is a very beautiful shot, but you've already told us this. Why are you showing me it? Redundant? When it comes to craft reasons though, I've pinpointed why I'm not as interested as I could be, as it's because she's reading from the book. It's not her words. Therefore, it's not showcasing her personality. Now, if she were coming up with a story on the spot, I'd be more engaged. It would give the opening more energy and momentum. Why this story now? Why today? That's an excellent question to ask. What compelled the narrator to share their story with us today? I wonder if the narration is verbatim for the original Beauty and the Beast story. If it is, cool. But give us another story layer with the visuals, please.
Ruined within a month. The merchant and his children had to depart their home, their friends, their routines, everything that until now made them happy.
Those children don't look very engaged in the story, to be honest. Then the opening narration just stops. Looking back, the narration and the accompanying visuals haven't given us any accurate indication of the mood of the genre, nor a true representation of the sensory experience. Yes, coming in and out of the storybook is visually stunning, but the rest of the movie does not look like that. It's darker, dreamier, more twisted. If we were to keep watching, the cinematography that first represents the overall sensory experience happens after the opening narration. narration with this mirror shot and then this statue shot. And the most important thing this opening narration has failed to give us is an emotional connection. I don't care about the mystery narrator and I don't care about those kids. It makes me wonder if this narration was added as an afterthought during the editing process, because the narration is not only used throughout the opening but the rest of the story as well, but not in the best way, you know? I'll show you.
Their new life took some time getting used to. He pulled on the horse's reins, hoping to get home quickly. Little creatures living in the castle that were going to become her best friends.
To me, it seems like the narration was added later to improve the clarity of the story, as it is often used to convey the passing of time or connections between characters. Yes, narration can help convey these things, but at the same time, it should do more. Like deepen our connection to the protagonist and/or narrator.
She was ready to die with the first strike of the bell. As she looked around the beast's castle, a noise echoed through her body. Her heartbeat.
Again, because Belle is reading from the book, it's not her words. Therefore, it does not show her personality nor indicate how she reflects upon her own situation. Therefore, this is one of the reasons I am not connecting to her. To be clear, I'm connecting to the Belle I see on the screen, just not her narration. Maybe you do connect to the narrator. Maybe it's a language barrier, subtitle dubbed issue for me. So I do want to iterate. Overall, this movie is engaging. The narration, to me, is not. Bow bow.
Belle had waited a long time to leave her bedroom. She wanted to explore the grounds, to see the limits of the prison.
I wish they told this story without the narration. I wish it so much, because then it would have given us, the audience, more to do. We would have a more active relationship to the story. Well. So, using inspiration from the narration we've already seen, let's mash. In Beastly, they do not use narration. Instead, they show us everything we need to know through active action. The prince character is set up. So is Belle and the witch.
Wow. Looks are important to you.
They're important to everyone, except you, clearly.
But because of this, Kyle, the prince/beast, is not likable.
Should you vote for me just because I'm the rich, popular, good-looking guy with the famous news anchor dad? And the answer is, hell yeah!
Hey, he's not even that relatable, despite how hard the story tries to position him.
Ah, shoot. Hang on. Rob Kingston.
This isn't a problem in Beauty and the Beast, so why is it here? Because in Beastly, the likable Belle is no longer the protagonist. The Beast is. Kyle is.
You bought that I'd hook up with you? The self-mutilated, tatted Frankenskank? But hey, you can always buy a ticket.
So, to rectify this, I'd like to include some opening narration. And I'm going to take from already existing story content. Well into the movie, we learn that Kyle's mother left.
He bought me all the toys and candy I wanted. And at the end of the day, he told me my mother had left. I haven't seen her since.
I want to bring some of that emotion into the opening, and it may help the audience not necessarily like him, but at least not hate him. So when Linda, our Belle, explains her fascination with him, it makes sense in a way that is less ick.
He disappeared. Rehab. The addict's daughter falls for the addict.
I demand that you stop right there. Oh, no.
Yeah, there's something underneath. It's catnip for sappy tools like me.
I'm not seeing this. I am not seeing this.
To be the one who uncovers it.
I tried to stop them. Would they listen to me?
JC, how will you do the narration? Again, I will take an idea already found in the story.
What happened to romance? Those sappy, soppy, longhand love letters.
During Act 2, Kyle starts writing a letter to Linda.
I've been thinking about letters recently. The real kind. Longhand.
So for the narration, I want to hear some of this letter, simultaneously foreshadowing what's to come, as well as glimpsing more of Kyle's personality and some of his emotional growth from later in the movie. We already know how this story will end, so why not take advantage of that and give us a character we want to root for from the beginning? Let's build that emotional connection between Kyle and the audience. And also hint more at the sensory experience, particularly how the letter is used throughout.
And I'm gonna write to you every day for a long, long, long time. I think I might be in danger of falling in love with you.
Also, let's throw in this key line somewhere to help bookend the beginning and end.
Can you imagine that love? Can you imagine that love?
It's Beauty and the Beast meets the Sound of Music. They do not use narration, allowing everything to unfold with active action.
Listen, if I get this job, I guarantee you, honey, that you will never frizz, you'll never kink up. On Fridays, I will give you a set so stiff you won't have to touch it till Monday.
Joy is struggling to advance in her career.
They gave the job to a cool, sophisticated European.
Then she's mistaken for a science teacher. And is invited to teach some president's kids in Europe.
What exactly do you teach?
Beauty culture.
You teach beauty school.
Well, I know that, and you know that.
Here she meets the kids.
Oh my God. Rule number 1, kids. Never surprise a New Yorker.
And she meets the dad, the Beast.
I expect you to be prompt, efficient, and dressed. Is that clear?
If I were to add narration to this movie, here's what I'd do. I'd strike Joy's parents from the story, as those scenes, particularly the ones of Joy and her mother, give us exposition and backstory through dialogue.
Is teaching night school so terrible? Maybe one day you could own your own beauty parlor. Maybe raise a family, God forbid, huh?
I don't want to settle.
I say this because I love you. Settle.
Then, Joy would need to be the one to tell us all these things. Her quirky personality would shine, and there would be more opportunity for comedy, particularly if you paired what she was saying with an ironic visual. It would give us a stronger sense of spoofiness, the genre, and elevate the sensory experience. When it comes to emotional connection, doing this would also raise the stakes for Joy. She has no family but has found one in these kids and this man, but will it last?
It is not fear, it is respect.
Oh, excuse me. You instill fear. You earn respect.
Well, that's enough of JC. And now, more time with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And hit that bell icon.
Until the next MASH, bye-bye. It required oh no, I've lost my mojo. No, the rest of the movie visual tone refers to film naked.